Three, two,
Seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
What we do here is go back.
Hey everyone, Steven and Jessi here today. It's gonna be a tough episode to do. Welcome everybody. So, obviously everyone knows at this point what's been going on this past weekend with Jon Huber passing away, non-COVID related lung issue, and me and Jessi are going to talk about that quite a bit, and then we are going to try to turn our frowns upside down a little bit and talk about some of the positives that have come out of this year. And basically do a best of and like a little award show covering the stuff that we like the best this year from WWE, AEW, and we'll probably throw some Impact Wrestling in there as well. So that's the plan for today. Any money that we make on the show, down to the penny, whether it's super chats, donations, anything at all. And this Streamlabs link is like the donation link in the description is live all the time. And like for the next like week, like if there's more like donations that come in throughout the week, we will, anything that we get from this at all, we're going to be sending, basically, we don't know exactly where the Huber family wants the money as of right now. So we're going to find out if we need to send it to them or if there's an organization that they prefer that I send it to. But we're going to send the money wherever Jon Huber's family wants us to send any money we make from this. So if you want to help out however you can, just know that the money is going to him or his family or whatever organization that his family where he wants that money to go or where he would have wanted that money to go. I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. I'm a bit shooken up over it. I've done 2 or 3 different podcasts since he passed away, and so I've had to talk about it a lot. And it's a rough time. So what I'm going to do here for the next couple minutes, I want to make sure that I get these links out to all the Facebook groups that I'm a part of, because I want anybody who possibly can to join in today to try to help out his family however we can or whoever they want us to help out. So Jessi, if you can just kind of start off and let me know kind of your thoughts on everything that's been going on with that, and just I'll go over some like match recommendations here in a minute and stuff too, y'all. So like maybe some stuff to check out of his of his work.
Yeah, I mean, I think we really do want to make a difference here. We want to feel. I feel like in human nature, we are problem solvers. We want things to be done, and even with someone's untimely passing, there's a want to assist or help out people that are left. And we definitely want to help out his family. However, there hasn't been like a GoFundMe started. There hasn't been anything done like that. But we want this money to go somewhere where his family will either use it or where they want it to be used, whether that's, the American Lung Association or the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, or maybe they set up a scholarship fund, for his kids or, something. We want this to go somewhere. And while we don't know where that is right now, it's definitely full transparency. We are going to keep it. I will show you receipts of where it goes, because it's your money and it's our collective effort to try to help his family, because I feel like it can't bring him back, but I do definitely think that it can help us feel like we're making a difference in the lives that he touched the most, and that was his kids and his wife. And I do want to say that it's going to be difficult. I put a cat. I did put a kitty cat.
People were talking about your arm like disappearing.
Yeah, I know it's glitching. I know.
Can you hear her okay? As long as y'all can hear her okay, that's what really matters the most. We want to make sure you.
Yeah, I'm in a nursing chair because I'm pregnant and I can't sit in a desk chair anymore. So forgive me, but yeah, I did put a kitty cat just because I had it as just like I just had it as like a black screen, and I was like, that's too sad. Just put a cat just to make.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just something like to make you go, oh, like so. Like, I feel like this definitely shook everyone up. It's shaken me up a lot. I'm still kind of like in shock. Like when I saw the tweet that AEW put out of just like, Brodie Lee, and it had like the statement, and it said like 1979 to 2020. Like you see that immediately, like, oh my gosh, I gasped, and I like sat up really fast, which for me is a feat. And my husband's like, what? And my mouth was just like open, and I swear to God, it was like a full minute before I could get out like what happened. And I looked at my husband, I go, Brodie Lee just died. And he goes, what? I was like, no way. And so we're both looking, and we were just both like in complete shock the entire night. And it's something that's like so difficult to process when it's something so sudden and unexpected, at least for us that weren't, in the know, which is, I mean, I do want to say really quickly that for the people that did know, there were a few, it looks like there were a few journalists that kind of knew or had an idea that he was either sick or had been in the ICU. And they kept it very hush hush, no one said a thing. And I think that that's really commendable. I feel like, wrestling journalism gets a really bad rap sometimes. And I think that was really commendable and respectable for the family. It was a very private issue. And I want to honor that and respect that. So, obviously for the rest of the night, I'm just like in shock. I texted you.
Yeah, that's how I found out. Like I wasn't even like paying attention to social media or anything that night. And like you texted me and I was like, I think I texted you right away. Like I'm going to jump on Twitter and see like what people are saying about this. Cause like my first, like my initial reaction was like there had to have been a mistake. Like there's no way. Like I know there wouldn't. I know no one would make like a storyline out of something like that. I just figured like there's just no like, but at the same time, right after I thought that
it has to be a work. It has to be. Right. It can't be real. It has to be a work. Like it sounds awful, but it's like your mind wants to think otherwise.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, like it hit me pretty quick when like because then like after I was like, hey, this has to be like there's no way this could be true. I was like he's been completely off TV for like a while now, and like no one was saying why, and like I started putting that all together and I was like, oh no, like he was probably sick with something. And like the first thing you think of is like, is this COVID related? Because a guy of his physical like physically speaking, like he just had like a great dog collar match with Cody in I think it was October, like, and that was his last match ever, as crazy as that is. And like he was young still, relatively speaking. 41 is, people shouldn't be. I mean, my mom died at 39 of cancer. You know what I mean? So like I know that I know that these things are possible, but usually it isn't so sudden. Like cancer. I can only speak from my own experience. My mom had cancer for like 5 years, so that was more of like a long term. Like you eventually kind of saw that stuff coming. With Luke Harper, it was like or Jon Huber. It was literally like this guy was on TV doing great stuff, the best work of his career, looking like he was having an awesome time, all the being the elite stuff and the Dark Order and all that, and the TNT title, and then he's dead. And just like it just doesn't. There was just no. I have no idea. I mean,
it's scary.
The only thing, and I don't want to speculate at all. The only thing that I ever worry about with guys that have his background. I've worried about this before, but there's never been like a case of it to where like I could even say like there's any kind of correlation at all. But I've always worried, and this is not speculating on like him in particular, but like
this is just your brain processing what's going on.
When I think like lung issues and someone that young, and like the background he had, I've always been worried. And once again, I want to preface this 1,000,000,000% saying like this is not what happened with him. I have no clue, but like deathmatch wrestling with the fluorescent light tubes has always scared me because they're hitting each other with those things and breathing in all this. Because I just know even from being like in the crowd, like the gust of it, like you can kind of feel it. And I can only imagine once again. But I'm just trying to think like lung issues. Someone so young with those kind of. Now then again, genetics. It could be anything. Like it could be anything. And I hope that if his family wants us to know, that we wind up finding out. But like I also want to respect their privacy. If they want it private, then that's totally fine with me as well. But this is just me trying to figure out So I talked to a buddy of mine who watches wrestling, and his mom is a doctor. She has been for a long time, and we were talking to her about this exact situation, like Brodie Lee 41 seemed healthy and this whole thing. One of the first things she like brought up was like, does he breathe? What does he breathe in? And that's when I started going into like, I
Oh,
like the like years ago these I don't know, you know,
yeah,
it's so mind-blowingly baffling, you know, like
it is.
it's um God, it's so, it seems so unfair too. Like this is a guy that is universally loved, that
Oh, real.
no one has a
Yeah.
bad thing to say about. Like, and
And
one,
I,
and even the only other thing I'll say, and like I'll
yeah,
is like with like the like, because this is hitting me like how like Eddie Guerrero did, which was
yeah.
rough. And the only difference was like with Eddie Guerrero, like he had the history of like the pill and drug abuse and the
Hmm.
DUIs and like the stuff where like, in the thing with him that was so amazing was that he turned it all around, and like at the time of his death like he was clean and sober, and he was like, he had totally turned it around, but like the effects of what he had done before is what wound up catching up with him. And that's a proven thing. That isn't like me speculating. That like that is what happened with him. Like his when he passed away so young, they directly correlated it to the issues he had had years prior with those kind of substances, and or at least could say with pretty good, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like it was pretty
Yeah.
proven, and as proven as it could be. And did Eddie Guerrero deserve to die? Absolutely not. I would never say that ever in a trillion fucking years ever. Like don't, you know, never like that. But Jon
Yeah.
Huber didn't even have that. Like he didn't have like any history of any kind of controversy, any kind of anything like that. You know, he just seemed like a
Any like
healthy, normal guy.
pre-existing condition that we knew of. Yeah. And I feel like that's, where our minds go as humans. We're natural problem solvers. We recognize patterns and things just as humans. I mean, that's why we've become like, that's why we've evolved to be like, so dominant over other species, because our brains have decided to reason and have thought and figure out patterns and reasoning and just all sorts of things like that. And I think it's something that, we do just to like cope, just to cope with such like a massive loss. Like, whoa, what could this be? It's like, what can I do? I can't do anything. So I might as well just figure out what it was. And I think it's important for us to like be respectful of the family, like not demand that the family come out and say exactly what happened or anything like that. I think it's okay for people to, kind of privately go, oh, maybe this was it, or maybe this was it. And, maybe, oh, maybe I should go get, checked because I did this or something like that. Or like, maybe I should go get a checkup. It's shocking. And I think at the same time, it's hard. It's hard to kind of process this without like jumping to that. But at the same time, you want to like be respectful of the family, because it's like, we don't know his history. And I'm
Exactly.
not saying like his history was bad or anything, but like, genetics. Like I've got some crazy genetic stuff. Like I have a hyper metabolism, so I wake up in the middle of surgery. I'm metabolizing
Right.
the drugs, like the propofol and everything,
Well, I mean, for
super
all I
quick.
know,
And
I mean, like,
yeah,
I drink alcohol regularly, and like I feel healthy enough, but like that doesn't mean that one day like I could have like liver failure, and they're like, hey, well, you had a liver issue this entire time because you were drinking all this alcohol, and I just didn't know. But then like it just hits you, but one, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
something as
right.
simple as that. Like
It does. And it's scary. It is. It's because it really does make you reflect, especially in this instance. I feel like this death has made me reflect on my own life more than, uh, uh, gosh, I can't remember the last time a death has really affected me this much. Not just in the like suddenness of it, but in the response to it. And I say that because, like we said, it affects me personally, and I cannot speak for anyone else. It affects me personally because, like we said, he was a professional wrestler. He was in elite shape. He was a champion. He was by all means and by all looks healthy. And all of a sudden, 2 months after being on TV, he's passed away. And it turns out he's been sick, and you go, oh my gosh, like no one is above anything. No one is above any kind of sickness, any kind of illness, any kind of medical issue. No one is superhuman. There are no superheroes, no matter how much they look like it. And not only that, then you have the response of the entire wrestling world. The outpouring of love.
It's incredible.
It still is unreal, and it moves me to tears to see a person be so universally loved, universally respected, universally seen as the same thing. A family man, a person who respected people, a person who would reach out to people when they were in need. They were compassionate and understanding and encouraging. Like, you see the same kind of pattern in all of these stories, and it makes me reflect personally on what kind of legacy do I want to leave behind? What kind of legacy am I leaving behind? Like, what am I doing in my life to make sure that, God forbid, if I have to leave this earth sooner than I expect, that I am leaving a legacy of love and kindness, and I'm leaving a lasting impact on people,
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me, like, when Kobe Bryant, I'm not saying that Brodie Lee is Kobe Bryant, but it was kind of like along the same thing. No one is superhuman. Everyone leaves a legacy behind, and, it was coming out that Kobe was donating all this money to all these charities, and all these stories come out, like the girl dad thing came out, and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to, like, compare the two, like, as athletes. I'm just comparing them to my own reflection on the passing of these two people and how it affected me.
Sure.
It's humbling, it's profound, and it's for like a day, the wrestling community kind of came together for like a day and just was honorable and respectful, and it did it was beautiful. It was really beautiful.
Yeah. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna close one of these windows just in case I can like hear like a worker like heading this way with a lawnmower.
Okay.
I think, but
Yeah.
no, I'll respond in just a second.
But yeah, it's just, and I hope that I'm trying to.
Sorry,
go
that window actually is already closed. That's how loud that damn lawnmower is.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm just trying to go through. I haven't really looked at the chat. My apologies. I've kind of wanted to focus on my words. I want to be very careful of my words. And I do want to say that, like, I noticed there's been like a lot of arguing, especially within like the past 12, 24 hours, about like just different things and different people's reactions to like just everything that's been going on with the remembrance.
Mm-hmm.
And the process and the just dealing with it. And I do want to just say that this has really like made me step back and like just want to be like respectful. And you have to remember, and I want everyone to be mindful of this, that everybody grieves in a different way. Grief is not something that is universally known to have, there's a cycle of grief, of course, but people don't always like follow the bullet points. It's something that makes people react in different ways. And we're still in this very sudden grief phase. And I just do want to say that I'm never going to like invalidate or disrespect somebody's way of grieving. Like, of course I have my opinions on like certain things, like, certain articles that are out there, or certain ways that people are honoring him and stuff like that. Of course I have my opinions, but I'm not going to sit there and invalidate someone else's opinion on that, because they're grieving, and their cycle of grief is just as important as mine. So I don't know. to me right now, like being angry and being mad and fighting with people is just not something like that sounds fun. It's never sounded fun, but definitely not something that is really worth it. Like what purpose does that serve? It
For
just
sure.
makes people feel worse, you know? So I do want to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I'll say that. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with like AEW versus WWE. Like the competition, I think
Yeah.
is
In
amazing.
general.
Like I love the competition of it, but it has been really really nice seeing everybody put that to the side, and because a lot of the stuff you're talking about with like the divisiveness, that's like you were saying on like people's personal opinions and the way that they're grieving and stuff like that. But at least to my knowledge, and even if I saw this, I just ignore it completely. But I mean, I can't imagine anybody being dumb enough to make this about WWE versus versus AEW. Like this is a man
Yeah.
who lost his life, who his kids now don't have a father, his husband or his wife no longer has a husband. Like it, this is so much deeper than like in you know, I saw some people that were upset about the way that the WWE didn't do like a video package and the 10 bell salute and stuff like that on Raw. And I understand being upset about that, like I do, but at the same time, I also don't know, like, should at the same point, like, should AEW, and this sounds weird to say it like this, but should AEW get kind of first dibs on honoring him like in a real way with the video package with a full tribute show because he was with AEW like so like I kind of what I kind of think will probably happen is AEW will do this great tribute show to him tomorrow, and then on SmackDown on Friday is probably when we'll see like the WWE video package and like all that. But I think WWE is actually giving AEW the courtesy of letting them do the big memorial first. That's how I feel
Yeah.
about it because
Which is,
he has
which is
way
great.
too many, which is and because he has just way too many friends within the WWE that like they for them to not do something bigger than what they did on Raw. I just have to believe that they're letting AEW do their stuff first. Which if that is the case, I think that's really really commendable. And I also think it was nice because I didn't watch Raw. I saw little bits and pieces, and I heard all like the it's Monday, you know what that is, and or you know what that means, and there was like I saw T-Bar doing like the Luke Harper thing with his on his entrance, and
A
all
lot of
that kind
people
of stuff.
did. It was
Yeah.
an Alexa Bliss did like the yeah, thing, and
So
um,
that's awesome that they did all that stuff.
yeah,
So
I think I kind of stated my opinion on it, and like I said, it's my opinion. It's not. It's just how I feel. If someone feels a different way, I honor and respect it. I thought it was really, really nice, kind of stepped away for the wrestlers to individually kind of honor Jon Huber, Brodie Lee, Luke Harper in the way that they best saw fit, in the way that they felt was most honorable and comfortable to them in the moment. And I thought it was fine. I thought it was really respectful. Could there have been a 10 bell salute? Sure. Am I gonna lose sleep over it? No. I don't think it was an insult. I think it's just it's so silly. It's like why are we fighting about this? We're fighting over respectable and honoring someone, and it's like let's just honor him and respect him, and like let's not fight about it, please.
yeah,
Like
any
I'm
most of the
just too
complaint
short.
yeah well most of the complaints that I've seen like and I haven't seen many but like it's people who do have a point to a degree about this but I'll give my full thought on like because there are people can go out there and they can see stuff of like the McMahon family like posting about Luke Harper and stuff and I could see people being like what like you really care like you had this guy in your company
Oh God.
you did nothing with him and here's the thing like here's the truth like he wanted out of the company he made it known they held on to him like he finally got out and like they didn't treat him great when he was there like they didn't but that's a business decision like that wasn't a this that's so different than like losing so like there are people that I didn't get along with that I work with that like if I found out they died I'd be really 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 sad like just because we didn't get along at work or
Sure.
whatever doesn't mean that I ever want to see these people dying so like I think that's kind of some defense as well. It's like, because I'm on that camp too. It's like the WWE didn't treat him well. Like, you know, he wanted out for a long time, and they held him. I mean, granted, they held him to his contract that he signed, so fair enough. But they had let other people out. You know, they let Shawn Spears out, and that's when he was like, "Hey, if I ask, like, can I get out?" And they were like, "No." And then he was like stuck there for another year doing nothing. But all that being said, I don't think I have no inkling in my mind in any way whatsoever that WWE, like, they are 1 billion% just as sad as we are about him dying. Like, that's all business related stuff that isn't on a personal level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do have to defend the WWE quite a bit on some of this stuff, because like anyone who's hating on them is like, that's trust me, like I hate on the WWE more than anybody. Like I make like a career out of hating on the WWE. Like, and I promise you that's not what this is about at all. Like,
yeah. And to be honest, and this isn't like, I don't know, but what makes his story kind of like beautiful, and the fact that it was such a big deal in AEW, was because of his time in WWE.
Sure.
Without his time in WWE being, you know, seemingly underutilized, without, you know, not being given his full potential in WWE, we wouldn't have had, you know, the Exalted One kind of mocking Vince McMahon. We probably wouldn't have been cheering him on as like, you know, come on, yeah, because, you know, you always want to cheer on the underdog. And,
True.
you know, he kind of was an underdog going into AEW, because he was like, come on, we believe in you. You know, we want to see your full potential. And he was getting there. He was the TNT champion. And he was the Exalted One. And he had this good debut. And he had these great matches. And he cut these great promos that we never heard in WWE. And it was refreshing, because it was like, man, what an inspiration. What a comeback story. What a refreshing thing to see. Someone who kind of lost their spotlight in WWE, asked to be released, and then did what they wanted to do and became successful. That's a part of his story, and we have to remember that. And it's not a knock on WWE. It's a respectable and commemorating part of Jon Huber for being for persevering, for continuing to fight for what he wanted to do and how he believed in himself. It's really a testament to believing in yourself, and it's really inspiring. And it makes me so sad that it had to end so soon, but it really is kind of, and it will forever be the what if. We saw some of it, but it'll forever be the what if. And I hope that those people that feel like giving up on like their careers, or giving up on, you know, their wrestling career or whatever, they look at this and they say, well, I don't want to give up. You didn't. And, you know, that what if, I'm going to fill in my own what if. And I hope that happens, because it really is such an inspiring story. It really is.
Yeah, at the very least, one thing we can all agree on, I think, is that he, like, even though it was for a short time, he got to have fun in a mainstream wrestling promotion where he was a leader of a group and like made into he was treated like a main event star in that company, which is what so many of us wanted for so long when he was with the WWE, and AEW actually gave him that chance and he knocked it out of the park, like beyond what I could have even imagined, because I knew he was a funny guy, because I've talked about this plenty and I've showed like my posters behind me and stuff, but he chose the name Brodie Lee based on the movie Mallrats, which is my favorite, like one of my favorite movies ever. And what's so funny to me about that is like, either you understand the humor in that movie and you think it's really funny, or it just really isn't for you and it's like just terrible. And I'm in the camp of thinking it's really funny. And when I found out his name is a mixture of Brodie Bruce and Jason Lee, and Jason Lee who plays Brodie Bruce in the movie, it's like, I automatically had that connection with him, because I was like, if you're naming yourself after Mallrats characters, like we probably have the same sense of humor. And then I realized, like, because this was back when he was with the WWE, I'd hear these interviews about that. Then when he came to AEW, his like dry sense of humor with the Dark Order as the Exalted One, and how he'd throw papers off people's heads and yell at people in their faces and all this stuff, that was so like, oh my, this is like, this guy is hilarious. This is my type of humor to a T. Like, he was so funny. That shit was like, I watched the Being the Elite special that they did yesterday, and they like, it had to have been so hard to film this stuff and not be laughing the entire time. Like, he is so freaking funny. God. But so at the very least, he got to do that. Because imagine, I mean, imagine, you know, he's still with the WWE right now, kind of sitting at home, not really doing anything, and this happens. Like, it's still equally as tragic and sad, 100%.
Absolutely.
But we wouldn't even have like this to say, where it's like, but he at least, at the very least, he did get his chance before he died to like be what we all knew he could be. And I have full trust in AEW that they're going to let his memory live on forever. Like, they'll either create a title for him, or a pay-per-view, or a match, or a trophy, or like they'll do something to where Brodie Lee is brought up, you know, often on their show. So, and I saw someone on Twitter, I wish I had it in front of me, but they said that the tagline for Dynamite should be "It's Wednesday." You know what that means? Like, that's be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, that should literally be the, like, on every advertisement. That's the tagline for the show. It's Wednesday. You know what that means? AEW Dynamite. Like, that would be so.
Yeah, and my husband had this kind of like, and this may be silly, but he was like, you know what they should do is they should, you know, Vince and Tony should once a year let the wrestlers, you know, come together and do like a Jon Huber memorial like show. And we could have all the AEW versus WWE dream matches that we wanted. The talent could book it themselves. He was like, 15-minute time limit, it goes to a draw, but they get to do what they want, or something like that. He was like, you could have all these amazing dream matches, and, you know, no one is making the calls except for the wrestlers, or something like that. And I was like, people are not too bad. That would be really fun.
That would be awesome. I'm looking it up right now to see what the card was, but I remember, like, back in the day in like the 90s, they did it was a Brian Hildebrand memorial show. He was Mark Curtis, who was a referee in WCW. I remember they did a show, and I wish someone probably has like a link to the card, but I think they did something similar to that, where like I think at the time he was with WCW when he got sick, and I think it was mostly WCW, but I want to say they also allowed like non-WCW talent to be on that show, if I remember correctly. And someone can correct me on that, but it sounds a lot like that idea, which I think would be great. Like, if, you know, like if they would do, like, just, put the barriers down, let them, I mean, I'm like 100% for that.
Go to like a scholarship fund for kids, or like a charity of, you know, their choice, or something like that. Like, all the proceeds go somewhere, and like all the merch, we make merch for it, like every year.
That'd be awesome.
And that would be so cool. Like, and obviously it's wishful thinking, but I mean, it was a cool idea. I was like, that would be fun. That would be a great way to remember him. Because I mean, you just, like, I had no idea. How loved and respected he was, because, you know, I'm not a wrestler, so it's like.
Well, and he's the kind of guy that they were saying like didn't do any of that kind of stuff. Like, he like didn't party after the shows. Like, he literally he just went back to his family as fast as he could. So like, I mean, well, before I forget, let me get to some of these. We do have some super chats that I want to read out.
Let's do that.
And as of right now, we've made for the family of Jon Huber and or whatever charity organization they want us to send the money to. We've made about $25 so far, which is awesome. If there's any way that we can get close to 100, that would be like absolutely incredible. Just like as like a little mini goal, like just for y'all. Mm-hmm. Like if we were to get to 100, that'd be really, really cool to be able to donate to them.
We have a whole week.
And we have a whole week. We got a whole week. Yeah. And me and you, I'm sure, will pitch in as well. You know what I mean? But it's but yeah, it's one of those things where like this is for them. This is not for us. And like it'd be nice to give them a nice little amount. But whatever we can give is what we're gonna give. down to the penny. If we made 1 cent on this show, it would go to whoever they wanted us to send it to.
I'm telling you, it's pennies count.
Hey, you know my mom's name was Penny? Did I ever tell you that?
No, you didn't tell me that. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Penny. So here are the super chats we have so far. First one came from Corey Hummel, a avid viewer of this show, big fan of what me and Jessi do here, and we're a big fan of you as well, Corey, and all the stuff that you send us on Twitter all the time. Good dude. He says, lots of love to you, Jessi, and he sent a $5 super chat, which we'll be donating. So thank you very much, Corey, and I don't know if there's anything you can really address off of that other than a thank you to Corey.
Thank you, Corey. Yeah. I mean, Corey has a very profound knowledge of professional wrestling and a very fast, like, encyclopedia in his brain of, like, everything wrestling. And so I asked him, like, what match, because I'm sure he's followed him for his entire career. And he said that his most memorable match, and I hope I'm right about this. If not, I'll correct myself later on, like next week. He said his most memorable match was Tim Rainer won Intercontinental Championship, which I thought was very interesting.
I can't remember. I think he won it. I think he won it from Dolph Ziggler. I know for sure they had a ladder match. They had a great ladder match where I believe Ziggler won it back. And I think that was in 2014. Most of his stuff as Luke Harper, that in my opinion was the best, was in 2014, because that was also the year that he had the Wyatt family versus the Shield 6-man at Elimination. Not Elimination Chamber. Extreme Rules, maybe it was. I can't remember the pay-per-view off the top of my head, but it was in 2014 for sure. The first Wyatt's versus Shields match. That was a really, really good match. That's right. And I'll get to some more match recommendations here in a second. Jobber JJ 496 dash hashtag the distraction #1 fan. This is a great dude. He's always retweeting stuff on Twitter, and he big fan of Fightful. So shout out to Jobber there. He says super chat for Jon Huber, aka Brodie Lee, and Luke Harper. I only got to see his WWE and AEW work. I'm checking out the recommended matches that Steven gave me on the Weekender. So yeah, I'll be talking about most of those again here on this show. I did a match recommendations on my Fightful podcast over the weekend, but once again, I'll tell you all those here in a second anyways. So thank you, Jobber, and I'm glad I was able to recommend you some stuff that you're going to check out. And Marty D sent a donation through the donation link that Jess just put in the chat just now. It says, my fave match was when he faced John Cena in the U.S. Title Open Challenge. That's a good one that I forgot about.
That is a good one. I totally forgot about that.
Yes.
Wow.
Good one. Good one, Marty. Thank you for the $10 that we're going to be donating away. So thank you. On behalf of whoever this winds up in the hands of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I'll rattle out a couple matches that if y'all want to check out. I would say some of his probably lesser known stuff would be his work in Chikara. I think a lot of people know he wrestled there, but I'd kind of pinpoint any match he had with Eddie Kingston. I would say
weren't they? Didn't they tag together or something?
Yeah, So I'm not super. The thing with Chikara was it was very hard to follow back in these days. You had to buy the DVDs off High Spots or RF Video, or whoever was selling. I can't remember who all was selling them at the time. But yeah,
Corey.
Corey would. And Eddie Kingston used to wear this kind of businessman suit, and but Brodie Lee looked pretty much the same back then. It's pretty wild to go back and watch anything that they did together, as a team or against each other. But I would say that, so he had, and I said this on the Weekender as well, but I was sworn, I didn't change the GIF for that one. Thank you for the super chat. Normally we don't get the donations through donation links. Normally they're through the super chats. So there's a shock master for you to lighten the mood. To lighten the mood a little bit. And it's kind of fitting because I was sworn to secrecy about this years ago, and now it's just public knowledge, so it's fine. But a guy that another match I'd recommend would be Brodie Lee versus Fire Ant from Chikara. and Fire Ant is now known as Orange Cassidy. So I was told years ago, like, I'm gonna tell you who each member of the colony is, because the colony, for those of you who don't know Chikara lore and history, it's like it's like a what do you call it, a family of ants, like they're a hive or whatever, a colony, exactly. So they were called the colony, and Fire Ant was Orange Cassidy. I believe Green Ant was Tracy Williams. I can't remember which ant Drew Gulak was, but he was one of them. Like, you have like all these guys who are like great now as these ants in Chikara, which is just so funny. But when Orange Cassidy was Fire Ant, he had a really good match with Brodie Lee that I definitely shout out. Anything he did in Dragon Gate, I don't think he was there a super long time, but I know he did some stuff with like I think he did some stuff with Moxley in Dragon Gate. I think he did some stuff with Rich Swann, if I remember correctly, in Dragon Gate. With Pac, I believe, in Dragon Gate. So there was a lot of good people in Dragon Gate when he was involved. I would, as far as WWE matches, any Shield versus Wyatt's match, any Intercontinental Championship match that we already mentioned between Harper and Ziggler, his Worlds Collide match that he had a few years back against Dominik Dijakovic, who is now T-Bar. They had a really good match on that like network special Worlds Collide. And then as far as AEW, I would absolutely say the Jon Moxley AEW World Title match, the first TNT title match, if you want to watch him win the title in that squash with Cody, and then his last match ever, that dog collar match. I would highly recommend all that stuff. And then of course anything he did on Being the Elite, if you want to see how just hilarious of a human being he was.
That's the first thing I thought of for you, because you were like, Brodie Lee is my favorite character on Being the Elite. He is hilarious. He is like, you always talk about how Brodie Lee was like, he shined on Being the Elite.
Yeah, really was. So,
Yeah.
and the thing is too, like, he elevated those guys so much, because I mean, I know you remember when AEW started and everyone was just shitting all over the Dark Order, including us. I mean, like, it was bad when it started. Like, it was really bad when it started. And then when they pivoted, it went more comedy and brought in Brodie Lee as the Exalted One. It turned the whole thing around to the point where, like, I was publicly talking about it often, like John Silver is like the MVP of Being the Elite. And that, like, he was the guy that I was watching in, I watched him wrestle for Beyond Wrestling. For a while. Him and Alex Reynolds were known as the Beaver Boys back then. And
Beaver Boys?
Yeah.
I think it's Tim and Eric.
Well, but that's, yeah, I guess that's where it came. I didn't even think about that, but that is definitely where it came from. And anyway, John Silver was really funny back then. Like, he had a match with Orange Cassidy in Beyond Wrestling that I thought was just incredible and stuff. This like mini feud that they had. So I knew he was funny, but he hadn't really done anything in AEW until he got this opportunity on Being the Elite, and now he's kind of like with Brodie not there, I consider John Silver to kind of be like kind of the interim leader of the group right now, probably. Like, so we'll see. But the point is, like, he elevated the whole group to where, like, you know, obviously we all wish Brodie was still here, of course, but like, I think they're still. Of course, they're going to be baby faces now. Like, there's no way people are going to boo them. Yeah. And I think the group's going to be, I mean, they're better with him, of course, but I think they're going to be okay without him. And the only reason that's even possible is because of his involvement. Exactly. Some more super chats that I don't want to miss here. Thank y'all so much for these. We will make sure these go to where they're supposed to. Ahmed donated the $20. That's what set off the Shockmaster the Shockmaster super chat. Thank you so much, Ahmed. It says, a loving father, a loving husband, a great personality, and a great entertainer. He will be missed. Beautifully said, Ahmed.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ahmed.
Yeah. We agree 100% on that. NYC Diva. God, NYC Demon Diva. Why am I having such a hard time?
Demon Diva.
Issa. What's called Issa?
Issa.
Roman's mommy. Mamacita.
Aww.
I love Roman so much. Although I love both of them, of course, but like,
I love her and Roman.
Well, it's way less creepy for me to be like all lovey-dovey on the dog, you know what I mean? But by the way, Issa, I And Jessi, this is for you too. Like, so I went to a different, like this sweatshirt here, for instance. I went to someone different to try to get because I still want to get, the whole point is I'm going to still try to get a Roman watching us on the stream hoodie made. So
Charlotte loves that picture, by the way. That cracked her up.
that's amazing because it's the background of my computer still. Like it's
That dog.
well, it's funny because I'll have friends over and stuff and they'll see, because like my computer's hooked up to my TV in my living room and stuff. So like it's the pictures up there a lot. And one of them came over and was like, "Is that a picture of Kirby?" Because like that was my dog and when I was a kid. And I was like, "No, dude, like look what he's watching." And he was like, "Whose dog is that?" And I was like, "Dude, it's this girl that I know through wrestling, and she just has a dog that looks so much like the dog that I had as a kid. Like and he acts the same too. He's a little diva, you know what I mean?" So yeah, I love it. But anyway, he's so he's so big. Though that's what's so great about those Yorkies. They have those big personalities where like, yeah, they're like the most loving things. But like if they don't know you, they will motherfuck you until you leave the room. Just
Yeah.
My neighbors in the neighborhood behind me growing up hated me so much because like, so my school cutoff from like elementary school and middle school was the difference of like one neighborhood over. So I went to elementary school with like a different set of friends that I went to middle school with. And when I got to middle school, I started meeting these kids and like a handful of them live in the neighborhood right behind me and I've never known them because we went to different schools. And they came over like after school one day and Kirby's yapping and they're like, no, dude, you're the one with the, like, that's your dog. Like, this dog keeps us awake every morning, like, this is the most annoying, like, you're the one who has this dog. And I was just like, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, like, what are we, like, keep him from barking outside, you know? But it was so funny because they knew who my dog was before they knew me because they had heard him just yapping so much. Anyways, and she says, Roman is mean to anyone but me. I try to tell people. See, I get it, though. I get it. Very protective. He would like me, though. He definitely like me. Because I know how to treat him. Love those old dogs. Issa says, I made Luke Harper break character by booing a babyface Dean Ambrose at an MSG house show. I was the only one booing. He laughed at my hate for Dean. That's great. That's awesome.
That is so cool. That is amazing. What a cool memory.
Yes.
It's like, for me, my memory is him throwing a chair at me on Dynamite.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I got to be there for the TNT championship match. And I couldn't say anything, remember? I wasn't allowed to, like, say anything for, like, 10 days.
Yeah.
I couldn't say, like, what happened. And, like, I know for me, that, like, that will forever stick in my mind. It's, like, such a cool moment. And I bet, but that is even cooler, Issa. That's so funny. You got him to, like, react. That's a big deal. To get a wrestler to react takes effort. So that's freaking awesome. What a cool memory.
Yes. I saw...
Made me smile.
I saw that there was like, I can't remember the name, but it was like one of the old like ring crew or something, someone that worked with the WWE that put up some pictures, and he would like rib Brodie when he'd come to the ring because he knew when he'd make his entrance, he'd always like put his hands on the ring steps like before he'd come into the ring.
Right, I saw that.
And he said he'd put stuff like on the bottom of the pole so that people couldn't. No one else could see it but him when he'd lean down and there'd be like these random messages there, which is just so funny. Thank you so much, Ahmed. I really wish I would have changed the $20 donation GIF. Like we've got $20 before through Super Chats, but we never really get it through the donation link. So thank you so much. Sorry that y'all getting the Shockmaster.
We needed that laugh, let's be real.
Yeah, true. I'll read it out. It says, it was another $20. Thank you so much. I think that brings us up to like $70. We're only like $30 away from the.
Wow, that's amazing.
If we exceed the $100, obviously that's even better. But like for us to even be this close to 100, I am ecstatic about it. That's awesome. Ahmed says, honestly, thank you for this stream. The only public figure I cried for is his passing. Thank you. God bless you all. Thanks, Ahmed.
Thank you. Yeah, and you know what? on Wednesday, it's gonna be hard for a lot of people, you know, me included, you included. I mean, a lot of us. Let's just like, I know for me, I want to be there for people. And Issa, see you later.
Bye, Issa.
Thank you so much. I love you. You're so sweet. And
Give Roman all the treats for me.
yes. And I just know that I'm not gonna be like. I know for one, I'm not gonna complain. I'm gonna try my best. I'm not gonna do like video reactions. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think, you know, like I don't want to. I don't know if this isn't right, so I'm not gonna do that. I mean, unless I'm like sobbing and I look silly or something, and just will laugh. But yeah, I do want to say that, you know, I'm gonna try and be there for people. I'm gonna try and be nice and positive, and I've been trying to do a lot more of that, like past couple of days. Just so I feel like we all need it. Like, I don't know.
Well, you are a world famous Twitter user in hoodie. So.
Oh my god, I saw that, and I was like, I had to go, and I couldn't find it. I gotta go back. I gotta go retweet that. That was so funny.
I forgot that I tweeted. I tweeted it like the next day. I completely forgot.
Yeah,
I completely forgot.
You sent me in a text message, and it cracked me up, dude. Jessi, the Twitter user in hoodie. Yes.
I almost responded like, but I didn't want to be a dick, you know. But I almost responded like, yes, same girl in hoodie, only wears hoodie. You know what I mean? Like,
only wears hoodie. Only one hoodie. No wash.
No wash.
It's crusty. It's growing things. It's its own greenhouse gas.
Her Walmart wig has destroyed the
Party City.
Party City wig.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Party City wig. Crusty hoodie. Apparently I tan.
Oh, yeah?
I'm a wrinkly old lady that tans. Oh, God, what else? Oh, man, there's so many that crack me up. It's so funny.
You're pregnant AF, girl.
Oh, yeah, I'm super pregnant. Oh, my God. I'm so pregnant.
That's so funny.
So pregnant.
Well, all right, well, the mood's getting a little bit less tense now, which is nice.
Yeah, we're trying our best to be positive and celebrate his life and not be like sad.
Yeah,
it's super sad, obviously, but it helps me to kind of talk about it honestly, just to kind of like voice my emotions and feelings. And I think that's important for a lot of people to realize too, because you know you're feeling upset about this, or if anything in general upsets you, talk it out. You gotta talk it out. It's super important to voice it.
Yeah.
So, like, call a friend, call someone, talk to someone, find someone you know and trust on Twitter or whatever, and talk to them. Like, just do something. It's really important. It does really help.
It does, and Marty D with some more help towards the Huber family and or organizations. Another $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Marty D29. Says second donation to help get to 100 to lighten the mood. Jessi Dabo or Dabo, I'm not sure. Says hello.
Or Dabo, I mean.
Wait, he's Dabo?
Dabo means the coach at Clemson.
Oh, gotcha. Well, Marty, thank you so much for the donation. That we'll definitely donate it to the Huber family.
Yeah,
and that I think brings us to about 80. I don't have a running count, but I think it's at 80. So this is great. This is awesome. Even if this was it, this is pretty damn close to the 100. So, well, you know what? We still have rewards. We're gonna talk a little more. So obviously, thoughts are with Brodie Lee, Jon Huber, his family, his friends, his loved ones. I mean, we can't stress it enough. We could talk about that for the rest of the day. And he will not be forgotten. We will continue to talk about Brodie Lee and his memory forever. You know, we'll make sure to bring him up and talk about matches and stuff and memories and moments and being the elite. And we'll make sure to keep his memory alive because, you know, that's the right thing to do. He deserves it. But we got a little bit more show to go. And this is going to give you all a little more time. If you do have any donations or super chats that you want us to send to the Huber family and or any organizations that they want us to send that money to, we're you feel free to do so while me and Jessi are doing our our best of 2020 awards. If you want to chime in with a super chat or donation that is related to the awards, like you have, like, for instance, we talk about our match of the year and you want your match of the year heard, or you have any kind of question about anything we didn't answer, obviously that money is still going to go to the same place. So, like, even though we're not talking about Brodie at the moment, anything throughout the whole show, throughout the entire week, I can't stress it enough, the donation link is going to be open all week, and anything we make is going to that organization or that family. Yeah. So what we're going to do, me and Jessi have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe it's 8 categories, and we're going to switch off as far as one of us is going to pick one of our categories, give our winner. Feel free to mention some honorable mentions as well, and then, you know, we'll alternate, and you'll see how it works. It'll be fun. We'll have a good time talking about some of the good moments. This has been like the worst fucking year of all time, right, guys and girls, and anyone in between. We don't discriminate based on gender here. Whatever you are or whatever you identify as, it has been a fucking son of a bitch of a year for everybody. So we're gonna try to highlight some good things that happened this year, and try to end this year on a positive note. On the last podcast of me and Jessi's of 2020. So this will probably be the last podcast I do, period, for the year. So I'll take a few days off. So I'll go first just to get it going, and I'm gonna go with. There's a lot of tough ones because I have some honorable mentions for most of them. I'm going to go with one that we may have some overlap in some of these answers, which is totally fine as well. We'll try to recognize as much as we can. I'll start off with Breakout Wrestler of the Year. And
okay. I have one for this too. I feel like ours is going to be the same.
So there was a few that I could have went with. The one that so this person I had been a fan of for a few years. I brought him up earlier on the show. He's somebody that I was really rallying for and really hoping would be a part of AEW, and he is. And not only is he a big part of AEW, he's one of the main stars of AEW now, and he is freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. That is my pick for Breakout Wrestler of the Year. Once again, he was very well known on the indies for a long time, but on the mainstream and the companies that we mainly talk about here, AEW, WWE, and a little Impact Wrestling, I gotta say Orange Cassidy has made the biggest impact, being somebody that was pretty much unknown at a mainstream level and now considered to be one of the top stars of AEW. So I've got Orange Cassidy. What about you, Jessi?
Well, I completely agree about Orange Cassidy. Mine's a little unorthodox, I would say. It could have, if this was official, it would probably cause controversy. But my Breakout Wrestler of the Year is Pat McAfee.
I like that choice.
The fact that he wasn't even like a wrestler, he just like got drunk one night and ordered a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
And then decided to start training, and everybody was goofing on him being in NXT. Everyone was goofing on him like this shouldn't be a match, and he goes out there and he becomes like one of the best people on the mic, one of the best heels, great in the ring, and like, you know, it just proved me wrong, that's for dang sure. So
same.
But Orange Cassidy is definitely, if you were to go by like people who are actually wrestlers, like, to begin 2020. Yeah, I would definitely say Orange Cassidy is definitely up there.
I'm gonna make a guess. Now it's tough to make predictions for 2021 on some of these categories because how am I gonna know who's gonna break out like next year? You know what I mean? Like there's gonna be so many people that once again that I know about and others know about from like the indies, but like in the mainstream, who's gonna be that next big kind of star from the indies that is gonna go from pretty much unknown at the mainstream level to a potential main event level guy or girl. I'm gonna say, and this is a tough one because like I'm so locked in on the indies. I could bring up 50 people as a potential, but my choice is gonna be Mance Warner, and I think that Mance Warner. I think and the main reason I go with him is because I don't think it matters where he signs, whether it be AEW, Impact, WWE, wherever he winds up going. I know there's a lot of interest out there, and he may even be signed right now, and I just don't know. But I think that no matter where he goes, it won't be very long before he is in like a main event title mix, because he has like a really unique character. He's really good in the ring. He's great on the mic. He'll do any kind of match, whether it be like a technical match or like a ridiculous death match. I mean, he'll do everything. And he just has a really good presence about himself. Had a great run in MLW. That ended kind of weird. I'm not sure what went on with the way he left. But all that being said, I think that I'm a big fan of Mance. I have been for a few years now. And I think he's the most ready right now of anyone in the indies to like make a really big impact. No pun intended if he winds up in Impact, but I think he's gonna do great in AEW, NXT, or wherever he winds up. Wherever he winds up signing, I see him being a big deal next year. So I'm gonna go with Mance Warner. What about you?
That's tough for me. I'm not as locked in on the indies as you are, but like personal preference, I like Danhausen. But it's a very difficult character to like see, like would it even get over like on like a definitely women's WWE. I think AEW would be the best place. But like I'd like to see Warhorse come back to AEW as well. And someone in the chat, Mr. Jackson, said John Silver. While he's signed, I think that he may have a breakout year. I mean, he already started to kind of make his way, kind of make a name for himself already. So it would be, and with obviously everything that's been going on. Yeah, that's cool. I just saw the pin.
Oh, you're watching the live on YouTube. I was like, are you that delayed?
I was watching the thing and not my live feed.
I got you.
Yeah, but he's got like he has like a really like niche following, and it's like a really strong following. So I don't know, it's fun. But John Silver would be definitely an interesting one. And I feel like it'd be kind of cool to see him kind of finally get to shine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of people with a lot of potential.
There really is. There's a lot I can talk about. I mean, like, just a couple honorable mentions I'll throw out there. Like last year, if we were doing these awards, I would have said Kurt Stallion, who's now doing great things in 205 Live. I'd say like this, like right now, I mean, guys that are ready, like right now, and girls, like Alley Cat's ready. Matthew Justice is ready. AJ Gray's ready. Joshua Bishop, I think, is going to be the biggest star of all of them eventually, but I think he's going to take just a little bit longer. He's just so young. But when his time comes, I think Joshua Bishop, I think, has the most star potential of anyone on the indies right now. Like, but it's going to be, like I said, he's like 20. I mean, it's just like when he's like 20, 21, 22, 23, something like that, like, and he gets a big opportunity, he's going to knock it out of the park. But there's so much damn talent right now. I love Brett Eisen. Don't know if he'll ever sign anywhere, but he's always gonna be one of my guys, being from Nashville and all that stuff. So, but yeah, there's so many I can talk about. AC Mack is great. So I can go on and on about that, but you're up next. What category you want to go with next, Jessi?
Let's go with comeback wrestler. Obviously, for me, I feel like the biggest one is Roman Reigns. Like, no question. Like, not really. He didn't really I guess he did come back. So, was that this year? I don't know. That was this year, wasn't it?
Roman Reigns for comeback. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. He came back this year, right?
Well, yeah. If you're counting like him taking the time off for COVID.
Just the whole like, he was, this big baby face that no one wanted to be a baby face. And he takes this break because, COVID happened, and, he's obviously wanted to like be safe. He comes back and he just becomes the biggest and most monstrous heel. That's badass. It kind of like goes into my most interesting storyline as well for 2020. I know we're kind of doing this one by one, but they kind of are, for me, one and one. I'm so happy with what they've done with Roman Reigns. I'm very, very pleased. And I guess it's Paul Heyman and, Roman Reigns all the props in the world for really going with that story, sticking with the whole head of the table. I'm absolutely loving it. It's the most interesting thing in WWE right now.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying the whole of it.
I couldn't agree more. We talked about it a lot. I love the current Roman Reigns character. Cool King, I know you're new to the chat, like right now, and there's probably others that have trickled in. Just so y'all know, just so no one misses out, any donations or super chats that y'all want to send throughout this, we're sending to the family of Jon Huber and or any organization that their family wants us to send the money to. So if there's anyone who's come in since we started doing the awards portion of this, just know that all of your money is going to be going to their cause. So I just want y'all to know that. We have a goal of $100. We're at 80 right now, so we're really really close. So really happy with where we're at. So for comeback wrestler, you've got Roman Reigns. I like that a lot. I think that's a great choice. As far as like actually wrestlers who have like come back and like been in the ring and wrestled, I gotta going on those lines. I'd agree. My choice though is Sting because he I mean he hasn't wrestled yet, but him coming back, the amount of buzz that created, like the fact that they almost had 1 million viewers the next week on Dynamite, and a lot of it was because Sting was going to be speaking for the first time on TNT in close to 20 years and stuff. So I think Roman Reigns is probably the best pick. By the logic that he used, I think that it is the best pick. And I'm going to put Sting out there as well as somebody who, like, he was completely gone from wrestling for the last couple of years, and now and I imagine he will wrestle in 2021, so we'll see what happens there. And I wanted to honorable mention Eddie Kingston, even though the only reason I didn't go with him is because he was never really gone. Like, it just kind of depends on how you look at it, because he'd been on the indies for like forever, but then he had runs in Impact Wrestling and the NWA and stuff like that, but he had never had like a big, so he was almost like my breakout wrestler to a degree, where it's like his level of star has skyrocketed since he joined AEW. And for a lot of people who may not know, that opportunity started because he had just beat Brett Eisen in a match at ICW No Holds Barred in a literal backyard wrestling match, and then called out Cody after the match on the microphone, and that's what led to him joining AEW and all the stuff that's happened there. So yeah. Would you have any prediction for who we could see next year? Someone who's like hasn't been around for a while or something, or maybe been injured, that you think 2021 could have a big year?
Britt Baker. I mean, she's kind of already back. Chris Statlander.
It's a good one.
I'm trying to think who's hurt. Who's hurt right now that I'm Samoa Joe. I miss Samoa Joe.
That could be a good one too if he came back into the ring.
If he can come back, yeah. Who do I miss? Becky Lynch maybe. I don't know. She may just want to be a mom for a while. I'm not going to put pressure on her.
That's a good choice though too. Like if she comes back next year, that could be big.
Yeah, I'm trying to get males, but there's a lot of females that are. What do you think? I'm trying to think.
So my pick is way more like unlikely, but what I'd like to see. Who do you think?
I have a feeling. CM Punk.
No, that's a really good one though. That's probably the best choice actually.
Yeah. I mean.
So this one I'm choosing because he hasn't wrestled in a long time, but he did a video not that long ago, and he looks like he's in great shape, and he's still killing it on the mic. And now we got all this Impact and AEW crossover, and I think Impact Wrestling could use some of their originals. I would love to see the return of the alpha male Monty Brown. That's what I want to see.
That's a good one.
Like I said, he cut that one promo for Lance Archer before Dynamite, before he wrestled Moxley, and like he's still got it on the mic. He still looks great. Like, everyone wants to see it. I think he's Sean Ross Sapp's, like, #1 bucket list interview at this point, or close to
really?
it. Yeah. I mean, Monty Brown, for anyone who was watching TNA back in the early 2000s, Monty Brown was the man. Like, Yeah, and then his run as Marcus Corvon in WWECW didn't really pan out to anything. That was a whole weird situation in itself. But I mean, I would love to see Monty Brown go on like the kind of run that PCO went on the Indies a few years ago before he signed with Ring of Honor. That would be, yeah, I would, or I shouldn't even say before he signed with Ring of Honor. He's been the Ring of Honor champion since joining the company. Like PCO's done well. So yeah, I'd like to see Monty Brown come back. I think it'd be great. Mr. Jacko says the Pounce. Period. That's right. Monty Brown, baby. All right. I'm up next. I think we should save female and male wrestler of the year for the last two.
Okay.
I'll go with tag team of the year.
Okay, yeah, this is because I'm conflicted.
So there's a lot of good tag team wrestling this year. This is a tough one. There's a lot of honorable mentions. I won't say any of them until you give your pick. I'm going to go with the North. Josh Alexander and Ethan Page.
Oh.
And they are my first nomination that primarily works in Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
And they're a great team, and they're great singles wrestlers. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens with Ethan Page because he's about to enter free agency. I know there's serious interest from multiple companies, and it wouldn't be surprising to see him stay because now like Impact and AEW have that relationship. But he's also the kind of guy who I think WWE. He's also made for the WWE. Like he would work in any company. So. I'd like to see the North stick around as a team longer, but they're definitely teasing the split right now on Impact TV. So this might be the end of the team for a while, but on top of their great stuff they did in Impact Wrestling, they came into the year as the Impact Wrestling champions. They had held the belts for over a year. They lost to the Motor City Machine Guns, then regained the belt before losing them to the Good Brothers just a few weeks ago. And they did a lot of good stuff on the indies, too, that a lot of people probably didn't know too much about. But they wrestled as singles and as a tag team throughout the year in various independent companies as well. So I'm going to say that the North, Josh Alexander and Ethan Page are my tag team of the year. Who do you have?
I like that one because it's different. I'm boring. I was going to go with Kenny Omega and Adam Page.
They were literally my number one honorable mention. Like, that was the closest one to the North for me was that team.
Just that they had, I mean, they had match of the year for me. So, like, for one, like, tag team match of the year, they definitely had that. They were just so, the whole dynamic, because there was so much tension the entire time they were tag team partners. Like, we knew that eventually one was going to turn on the other, and it was always a question of who's going to turn on who, when's it going to happen, what's going to happen, how are they going to split up, and every single time they were in a match with us, is this going to be the time that they finally, split up? And no, but they would come together and they would, win. And now, obviously, they've kind of split it, but it's such a beautiful tag team when both the wrestlers can benefit from being in a tag team, but then even benefit more from the split. Like, it's super rare to see. And so and their matches were so fun. I had a good old time. Watching them matches. So
yeah, they had a run of some of the best back to back tag team matches. Like, you could put their run against like any team ever, as far as like for the amount of time that they had that run. Like, you take that 1 year or whatever, I'd put that 1 year against like any other tag team ever. It was really close between them and the North for me. And they had probably with your favorite tag team match was the Young Bucks versus Omega and Hangman
at Revolution.
Yeah. That was if we were doing a tag team. Well, I shouldn't say that because the match of the year could be any type of match. But that was one of the best tag team matches I've seen. It was really, really, really well done.
So good.
As far as next year, my prediction, once again, this is tough to know, but I'm going to say the Young Bucks carry on the momentum from this year, and next year them and Kenny both have really, really big years, all three of them. Whether
Absolutely.
whether the Young Bucks hold on to those titles the whole time, or they drop them and win them back, or whatever winds up happening, I think 2021 will be like the tag team division. I think will mainly focus around the Young Bucks next year. Is my gut feeling, so I'm gonna go with them.
Yeah, same. I feel like, even right now, when the Young Bucks have a match with anyone, I know it's going to be good. And yeah, so I mean, they're a reliable attack, so they can put any team over, really. I mean, look at Top Flight. I mean, Top Flight came out and they had a banger of a match with them, and they got signed. So
Yep.
yeah, no question.
Top Flight could very well be the breakout wrestlers of the year next year as well.
Oh,
I mean,
yes,
they're fantastic.
they are very talented. So young.
Yeah, like 20 and 21 or 20 and 19 or something like that.
So, yeah, they can't even buy alcohol. It's ridiculous.
So wild to think about. But
Right?
hell yeah, good stuff. AEW's tag team division is just phenomenal right now. All right, Jessi, next category.
You want to do most interesting storyline? I kind of already said that. It's the whole Roman Reigns side of the table thing for me. Also, I mean, I guess an honorable mention would be Kenny Omega and Adam Page. They're kind of mystery bickering before the big reveal. That whole tease the entire time was really fun. It was really fun to speculate how the turn was going to happen, what was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen. You didn't know how. But I have to put the spotlight on Roman Reigns because it's still very intriguing even to this day, and it's probably because it's the only thing carrying WWE for me right now.
Same, sure.
The only thing that's keeping me really invested and interesting, and it happens to be Roman Reigns, which if you would have told me at WrestleMania 33 that in how many years? 3 years, that Roman Reigns would be the one guy keeping me watching WWE. Get out of here.
Right.
Whatever. F off. So it's compelling television, and it's freaking amazing. And props to WWE, man, because it's a fun storyline.
I couldn't agree more. My winner is also Roman Reigns, his heel turn, that whole story with the head of the table family. That's number one for me. If it would have happened a little bit earlier in the year, the only other thing is it's along the same lines as kind of what you were talking about with Omega and Hangman, but more particularly, if this would have the AEW versus Impact story, I think is going to be really, really good. But it hasn't really. It started, but it hasn't really, I think, hit how it's going to. We're kind of building up.
That could be next year.
Yeah, I think next year we're talking about literally the same two things. I think, my prediction for next year, that, it would be the same, where I think the Roman Reigns story continues. I'd like to see him beat The Rock and beat Brock Lesnar and beat anyone else, Goldberg, all these people. And I also want to see the AEW Impact story really, and even like I talked about on previous episodes, hopefully other companies maybe get involved in that too. I think that could be just an amazing kind of it's like they're putting together I'm not really big into the superhero movies, but the whole Marvel universe and stuff. It's kind of that, where you have all your different teams of wrestlers and different companies, and that could make for just such a really, really cool story. So I think we're both in agreement there. Next year we're probably talking about the same two stories as the storyline of the year.
Definitely.
So that leaves. I'll do show of the year next. This was tough. This was really tough.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this one. Yeah, this is tough because there's kind of the COVID era and then the non-COVID era, which is a month.
Right. So let me pull up the card real quick for what I've chosen. So there's I'll give my honorable mentions after you do yours. But it came down between a few different shows for me, and the show that I went with, we actually just mentioned, and a lot of it had to do with this match, and it was that tag team match between Hangman and Omega and the Young Bucks. And the whole rest of the show was really good outside of, in my opinion, one match. So my show of the year is AEW's Revolution. It featured on the main card, we had Jake Hager over Dustin Rhodes. We had Darby Allin over Sammy Guevara. Omega and Hangman over the Young Bucks. Nyla Rose over Statlander. That was the only match that I didn't like. And I'm a really big fan of Statlander. I just think the two of them just didn't work well together. We had MJ.
Had a flu or something.
Yeah, supposedly. I just, but it just, yeah. But so did Jordan when, you know what I mean? And then we had MJF defeating Cody. We had Pac defeating Orange Cassidy, and we had Jon Moxley winning the AEW title from Chris Jericho. I thought it was a really good show. So
yeah. I
went with AEW's Revolution. What about you, Jess?
I agree. I think Revolution was probably the best show of the year, other than Wrestle Kingdom 14.
That was great too.
I have not watched the full T1 yet, but I don't like that. It's such a long thing, you know.
Well, and it's 2 nights, so it's like 2 shows. Although WrestleMania was 2, and you could have counted that.
To be fair, but I would say for like the one night, one show, without a doubt, Revolution was fantastic. I think that was the one where I like watched it again, and I don't ever like do that. So, it was really good. I think I watched that tag team match like 3 times, which is something I don't usually go back and do unless it's really good.
It was such a good match. Like what I like about what AEW is doing also is they're not relying so much on like specific moves to finish matches. Because like in that match, I'll never forget how the end came when Hangman, like a lot of things happened at the end, and then but like the final thing was Hangman hitting a buckshot lariat and getting the pin, and like it wasn't a double team move. It was just really, really well done. Same with the Young Bucks and FTR, which was a good match, a great match as well, where like a super kick ended it. It wasn't like a crazy, like, you know, more bang for your buck or a Meltzer driver or anything like that. It was like they beat each other down so bad. There was good storytelling. Matt got his shoe taken off. He kicked Dash in the face, and that was it. You know, it was like, so I like how they put all that together. My honorable mentions for a show of the year. I really liked AEW's Winter is Coming, the free Dynamite show.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, I mean that was awesome. Sting's debut and everything that happened on that show.
The best television show of the year.
Yes, yeah, I agree 100%. And then another honorable mention I want to throw out there is NXT TakeOver 30, which I thought was a really good show.
That was really good.
Yeah, the main card we had Finn Balor over Timothy Thatcher, Damian Priest over Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Velveteen, and Johnny Gargano in a ladder match for the NXT North American Championship. That was also the show with the match we talked about before, Adam Cole versus Pat McAfee, which exceeded all expectations from everybody.
Oh, God.
Io Shirai, awesome. Io Shirai over Dakota Kai, and Karrion Kross winning the NXT Championship from Keith Lee. So that was really close to my show of the year, but you know, I think Revolution was just a better show with, you know, and that tag team match we keep talking about, Omega and Hangman versus the Young Bucks. Like, if I have to put 2 shows together, and I'll take that match, and that's what really puts it over the top for me. So
yeah.
So next up, I guess we're down to match of the year. Next, Jessi, if you want to start that off.
Okay, so obviously, you know, that tag team match was really, really, really good. I also did really like, this is kind of like my honorable mention. I really did quite enjoy the I Quit match between Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. I thought that was a really fun match. I will say my favorite female match of the year was Sasha and Bayley in Hell in a Cell. That was a really, really good match.
Yeah, really well done.
Female. Yeah, it was fantastic. Another match that I really enjoyed that isn't like 2 people was Best Friends versus Santana and Ortiz in the parking lot match.
Yeah.
That was like a That was who it was, right? That
Yeah,
was like a really,
parking
really,
lot
really good match.
fight. Parking lot fight
Yeah.
is what they called it.
Yeah. That was super fun. But
I really, really enjoyed Okada versus Ibushi in Wrestle Kingdom 14 Night 1. Like, that was probably, it may have to, and this is super petty of me, and it may just be that Okada's entrance was so freaking cool. Okada had the coolest entrance. It, like, blew my mind.
that I was so tripped out. Like, that match was so good. I don't know. It was just like,
It was something that, like, made me actually, like, subscribe to New Japan World. Like, instead of, like, buying it, like, when I bought it on Fight TV, I actually ended up just subscribing to New Japan World.
Well,
Like,
and New Japan World's way cheaper too for anyone listening.
Yeah, it's
you
like
pay
10 bucks a month.
yeah, $10 like the WWE Network. Whereas Fight, I mean, I love Fight TV, but like I think you had to pay like $30-$50 or something for like the shows through them, whatever it was.
yeah.
So.
So if we're going by, like, strictly, like, an individual match, that's my match of the year for me. And maybe that's just because I don't want to be, like, boring and do, like, AEW or WWE or whatever. But it was really definitely, and it was early in the year, so it was, like, kind of hard. I, like, forgot that happened this year.
Yeah.
But it was freaking awesome. So that was my match of the year.
So if I'm picking a match of the year that for a company that we don't really discuss much, I would say like probably my favorite match of the entire year. Well, there's a few of them because there's some on the indies, but we don't really cover that too much here. I left that more to like the Weekender and stuff. But I also, I mean, this was my match of the year for the Weekender, and I covered my favorite stuff from the indies there too. So if you want to check that out, that's in the Fightful Select Weekender podcast. As far as the stuff that me and Jesse normally talking about, I'll throw this out there. I think Walter versus Dragunov was the best match of the whole year. It was in NXT UK.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, so but my choice isn't going to be that because we don't really talk about NXT UK too much on the show. And you actually brought this one up. And this is one that is kind of unconventional, and people probably wouldn't expect me to say this as my favorite match of the whole year. If we're talking WWE, AEW, and Impact, I'm going with Best Friends versus Santana Ortiz in the parking lot.
Thank you.
In the parking lot fight. I thought that match was it was incredible. Like I had
watch that one again.
Yeah, I had so much fun watching that match. Like from start to finish, all action. All the bumps were cool. The finish was great. Orange Cassidy popping out, made the trunk all made sense.
Gave the middle finger.
Yes, Sue gave the middle finger. Yeah, when they were driving away in the minivan,
Man.
like Trent's bleeding all over her car and all over her van, and yeah, that was my favorite match of the year as far as like, you know, the stuff that we normally talk about. I would definitely say, I mean, a better technical match would be Omega, Hangman, and the Young Bucks. But as far as how I felt as a fan, sitting back and just enjoying what I was watching, just enjoying the show, because I also think the Best Friends winning was the right move for the story, and like everything worked, and it was easily the best, like parking lot type brawl match fight or whatever that I've ever seen in wrestling. Like usually those are really bad and corny. Like this was done really, really well in my opinion. So
Yeah.
Everything was great.
do you have any, obviously we can't know who the best match of next year is going to be, but do you have any matchups in mind that we could see next year that you think have potential to be the best of the year? Obviously this is like dream booking, but
Obviously you have Impact. You can do like a little Bullet Club like kind of deal there. That would be fun. Kind of a matchup. That would be fun. I don't know.
I can't really think of anything off the top of my head that I would want to see next year.
I have 3 good singles matches that I could throw out there.
Okay. Do it.
These are 3 that I think are all totally possible. So this isn't like super ridiculous fantasy booking. I think these are all possibilities.
Sting versus Cody. That's the one. I don't really want to see Sting wrestle, but
I really want to see Sting wrestle. We vary a lot on that, but I think Sting. And here's the caveat. I don't know if I brought this up on the show or not, but I got to keep it real. This is the caveat.
Okay.
If Sting is wrestling in a t-shirt, I do not want to see him in the ring. We need to see, because there are 2 different versions of Sting. Sting in the T-shirt is that's suspect. That's like, all right, man, you're too old to pop that shirt off. Like, come on, bro. Like, you got to get in better shape. So the thing with Jericho though is that's part of it is like, who gives a fuck at this point? Is Chris Jericho? He's already like GOAT status, but but he purposely made himself bigger when he went to New Japan. Like, people seem to forget that. Like, because him in Japan, he's in the United States, he's like an average sized guy. In Japan, he's huge. You know what I mean? Like, that's why he did that. What's that?
It's a ginormous, dude.
Yes. But I like that. I like that idea a lot. That's a good one. Sting and Cody. I think these three matches could definitely happen. Pretty obvious one that I think a lot of people are speculating: Roman Reigns versus The Rock. I think that could be really, really good. If it happens, that's awesome. Another one that I think for sure will happen, and I think it'll be the end of Omega's title reign. I think at the end of the year we get Hangman and Omega, and that's where Hangman wins the belt. So I'm gonna say that happens in like November or December. It'll be like towards the end of the year, I think, is when we see Hangman beat Omega for that title, and I think that potentially could be the match of the year. And then one that I think has been slowly brewing for a while, and it'll happen sooner than later depending on the outcome of a match that's happening in like a week or so. But I think that if Kyle O'Reilly wins the NXT championship from Finn Balor, Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole could be match of the year if they go with that.
That could be so good. Yes.
So those would be my three. Hangman versus Omega, Rock versus Roman, and O'Reilly versus Cole would be my three that I would say.
Here's a complete fantasy booking that I've brought up that's kind of silly. I would like to see, like I said, the Undisputed Era get all the gold again, and then have the Hurt Business with all the gold on the main roster, and have them have a big match. That would be really fun.
Have who on the main roster? You were kind of muffled for a second.
Oh, Hurt Business.
Oh, that'd be a lot of fun. I would love to see that.
That would be so fun. So yeah,
I would
that's
love
just
that.
Random booking.
I am all for it.
Yeah.
Right, second to last category here, we got female wrestler of the year. Now, part of this, like, I didn't want to make everything like gender specific because a lot of it like could be either gender, right? Like match of the year could be either, breakout could be either, storyline could be either. But I wanted to make a female wrestler of the year category. And this, by the way, isn't to discriminate against anyone that's trans or identifies any other way. It's just obviously there's not a lot. Just be honest. There's not a big pool to choose from outside of male and female. You know what I mean? There just isn't. So
yeah.
And we want to recognize some of the great work that these females did this year because there was a lot of it. My choice for female wrestler of the year, it's on me first. So this one's another one for Impact Wrestling. My girl Jordynne Grace, talk about her all the time.
Yes.
She came into the year, pretty deep into the year, about halfway through the year, give or take, as the Impact Knockouts champion. She lost the belt to Deonna Purrazzo at Slammiversary, and what me and Sean Rossap did the post show for that on Fightful, and we both agreed that was probably the best match of the whole night was the two of them, and that was a really good show. So that was saying a lot. Like Jordynne and Deonna showed out big time. Then they had a great rematch in an Iron Man match. They actually called it an Iron Man match, not an Iron Woman match for some reason. I don't know, but it was a 30-minute Iron Man match on Impact, and that was really good. And Purrazzo retained the title there. And Jordynne has been towards the top of the division all year. She's currently in a tag team with Jazz, legend female wrestler, one of my favorites of all time, going back to her days in ECW. And it looks like that we'll get Jordynne Grace versus Jazz at some point too, which I think will be a really great clash of kind of generations. Two strong women who kind of favor each other in certain ways. I think that'd be really, really good. So I'm going with Jordynne Grace, and we'll talk honorable mentions after you give yours, but yeah, I think Jordynne had a really good year, and I think that she's only going to get more. She's only going to get. I don't want to say better because she's already very, very, very good, but she'll only become a bigger star next year because of the association. I have to imagine she'll be heavily featured throughout this Impact and AEW thing. So,
yeah.
I got Jordynne Grace. How about you?
Well, mine's a little bit unconventional. I have to say Lana. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god, I was about to like stop the stream and walk out of my room. Oh my god, I was about to lose it. I'm gonna have to clip that because like, luckily you can't see because like my shades and stuff on, but like my face, like I'm looking at the replay right now to see if. Oh, hold on, let me see. Let's say Lana. Yeah, I just kind of stopped for a second. So I have to say Lana, and I'm like,
Oh my god.
hey, that's okay. If y'all are fans of Lana, that's totally fine. You can be a fan of whoever you want. And
No disrespect to
it's
her
no
at
disrespect to
all.
her as a human being. Me and Jessi have talked about it at length. Our thoughts
I have
on
a personal, like, I've had a personal interaction and mutual respect with Lana, so, and with CJ Perry, so,
There
like,
you go.
really, I just wanted to see what he would do.
Yeah, that was almost the end of this whole show. Anyway, who do you choose?
I think Jordan Grace is a great one because I really like, she's a powerhouse and she's not like, you know, a stereotypical, like knockout diva kind of person, and I really like her. I think she's a great person, like outside of the ring as well. But for me, since I don't really watch Impact, I don't think it's fair for me to pick her. So I'm gonna go with Sasha Banks. I think
Good choice.
for multiple reasons because she brings her A game with every match. She had like my favorite female match of the year. She is such a force to be reckoned with. She's got a great attitude. She sells amazing. She puts her body on the line for all of these matches. She, like, I mean, not even just talking about this year, but just like in general, she's really been on the forefront of this like women's revolution. And
When she was like tag team champions most of the year too, like with
that's
with
right.
Bailey.
That's right. That stuff was great too, and like the trolling that they do on the social media was really funny when they were knocking some certain person. That was really great. I appreciated that, and like being on the floor crying and all that. That was really funny. And I just and I think it's also important to note like the whole Mandalorian thing. Like even though it's not part of wrestling, I feel like that is a big deal because you know you look at what like The Rock and John Cena are doing, and you see all these, you know, those two guys are like these huge, super, ultra, like Dwayne The Rock Johnson is a billionaire. I think isn't he a billionaire?
Yeah, I'd imagine. I don't know for sure, but I
Like,
it would not be surprising.
WWE needs, especially now more than ever, that kind of cross culture kind of referencing happening. And if it gets more eyes on WWE, the product, because she was in The Mandalorian, and maybe people want to see, you know, what she's all about outside of The Mandalorian, I mean, more power to her. And I think, yeah, it's not wrestling, but it's a really big deal, and it's a big part of it, and it's helping get more eyes on professional wrestling. So, Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I like that. That was actually like my number one honorable mention was Sasha. Gianna Purrazzo was on there as well for this pretty much the same exact reasons I just said about Jordan Grace. It was pretty much a coin toss between the two of them for me. I'm trying to think if there was anyone else that would really stuck out. Alley Cat on the Indies has been doing really good stuff. She has been for a while. I like her a lot.
She could be like the female, like, breakout star, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, really good. There was really good wrestling this year on the women's side, and there's and even if you get in, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of intergender wrestling. I've talked about that plenty, but like there are some women that I think do it really good, and I think Jordan Grace is one of them, and there's definitely others, and so I don't even want to like just say female wrestler of the year because they only wrestled women. Like Jordan Grace wrestled men as well, and like it was really really good, and that's also part of what weighed on my decision is she can work well with anybody regardless of their gender, which I think is very important.
Yeah.
Not necessarily important, but you know what I mean. Like it makes you way more versatile. There's way more you can do with someone like that. As far as next year, once again, this is very hard to choose now. Who I've picked may not be a popular decision at the time of me saying this, but I'm gonna keep it real. Like, I think next year Tessa Blanchard comes back. I don't know if it's in AEW or WWE, and I think wherever she lands, she's a massive star. Her talent. She's just too talented to not be. I mean, if she continues a trend of some of the things that have gotten her into hot water up to this point, I think she's entering any. I think she is entering any situation she winds up in already on thin ice. So I think as long as she keeps her ducks in a row, she doesn't cause any issues with whatever company she's with or the people that she works with or anything like that. Which is, I hate that I even have to preface this, but it's just like there is that history there that I have to at least be conscious of when I say this stuff. But like, as far as a talent and what she can do, and along the same line, she could wrestle anyone of any gender. I mean, she was the Impact World Heavyweight Champion, that the first woman to ever hold that belt. I mean, and she was very good, very, very good. So I'm gonna say she rebounds big time, and I think that once again, as long as there's no repeated patterns of that other stuff, I got to go into it with a clean slate and give her the benefit of the doubt and look at what she does in the ring. And if she comes back next year, I think she will be the best female wrestler of the whole year. So I'm going to go with Tessa Blanchard as my prediction for next year.
That's a good one. I mean, it is definitely controversial, but I mean, okay. I mean, people can turn around. That's what you got to hope for in people, right? That they learn their lessons and they become better people.
Right.
So,
sure. One, it's also like, it isn't like we're. I mean, I'm sure there are still some, but I'm definitely not condoning anything. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like at this point, we've all kind of, I don't want to say gotten over, because everyone's going to have different opinions on stuff, but you don't really hear people talking about like the Sammy Guevara thing anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you don't hear, there's other people who have said really stupid shit that we've kind of like gotten past it, because of their young age and the not repeated patterns of these things and actually changing. And because that's the thing. I mean, I said so much stupid.
It doesn't excuse the behavior, but it's definitely important to realize that people make mistakes, and sorry about the ice, and people can change.
I mean, and to be fair, like, I said so much stupid shit when I was like a teenager and in my early 20s that like I would never ever say in my 30s, like, because I'm a totally different person now, and I don't have the public eye on me. I mean, I do now a little bit because of like this kind of stuff and whatnot, but that's not like someone like Sammy or Tessa or someone else has had to deal with either, where like you fuck up and the whole fucking world has an opinion on it. You know what I mean? My fuck ups when I was 20, no one knows about, and I was able to recognize and fix them, and no one knows one way or another. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people, like, they've got to make these changes publicly, and that it's just one of those things. It just is what it is. But I think time can heal it, as long as, once again, I just have to stress the repeated patterns aspect. It's if you can change for the better, you can change for the better. Like, that's what we all want to see, right? Like, someone like recognize that they fucked up and get better. I mean, that's what can happen here.
That's what you want. Absolutely. You can only way you can hope for, more people become better, not worse or
hateful.
Even more hateful.
But once again, she does it again and she's done. Like, she is totally done. So I mean, I think that's pretty. I agree with that 100% too. Like, she shows up somewhere and starts saying some of the stuff she said before, or holds the belt for ransom or whatever. Like, any of these things, it's like, okay, you're done. Like, you've had enough chances, but like, this is the last chance as far as I'm concerned. But she's incredibly talented, and that's what makes it so hard with all of this. Yeah. So
for me, I don't know. I would say I would like these are people I'd like to see have like really good years. I'd like to see Bianca Belair have a really good year.
Sure.
I'd like to see Chris Statlander have a really good year. Jordan Grace have a really good year again. Those are just kind of like some people I like.
Yeah,
Britt Baker. Britt Baker's fun.
That's a really good one too. And I had Statlander as an honorable mention for next year as well. I think when she comes back from injury, she's another one that is really good at intergender wrestling. I saw her do it a lot on the indies. She's really good at it. All right, last up, we got the male wrestler of the year. Jessi, it is on you first.
It has to be Brodie Lee. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean,
that's not a bad choice. He did have a
like,
really good year.
he had a really good year, and just, like, I don't know. Right now, it's kind of hard for me to, like, think of anything else.
It's understandable.
I mean, yeah, like, it's just so sad. I don't know. Like, I know it's kind of, like, super depressing or whatever, but it's, like, his comeback story was so inspirational, and he single-handedly got the Dark Order over after they were literally, like, just the laughing stock of professional wrestling. They were just this big joke, and they had the whole result for one thing, trying to figure out who it was. AEW was posting all those cryptic pictures that you had to go and change the brightness of, or they would post like a math problem or something, and you had to decode it, and it was a lot of fun kind of figuring that out. And just his rise, that squash match with Cody was just like so shocking, and it was really fun to see. Yeah, that's all I can really think about right now, honestly. Like, obviously there were other, like, Drew McIntyre had a great year. I think Drew McIntyre, having to be a babyface during a pandemic with no crowd, with no kind of gauge as to what you're doing and how you're doing and how people are actually reacting to what you're doing. I think that's memorable for anyone. I think Jon Moxley had a great year. Jon Moxley was kind of a force to be reckoned with pretty much all year. And I mean, those are other guys, but I think, just Brodie Lee is on my mind, so that's probably why.
Yeah, that's understandable. If I had like some honorable mentions, I would say honorable mention to Drew McIntyre, like you said. Roman Reigns, even though he wasn't around for a lot of the year, I mean, what he's done since he came back has been amazing. Even my boy Kyle O'Reilly, he's had a damn good year.
O'Reilly has had a good year. That's true.
But he doesn't have that big title win. I think he might win that title from Finn Balor at the beginning of this year, and he could have a really big 2021. There's others. Kenny Omega, with all the tag team stuff he did, with the story with Hangman, with the way becoming the champion, and now he's like gonna be kind of like the big. He's the most interesting thing to me about the AEW Impact partnership up to this point. Like, he's been the most focused of all of it. But my winner is, you mentioned him earlier, Jon Moxley. I got to go with Mox. He was the AEW champion almost the entire year. Won the belt at Revolution, like we talked about. Took on all challengers. Kept taking on number one contenders and top 5 ranked guys. And beat
would say how he was going to beat them in the promo before the match,
which was awesome. And he beat them at their own game. Like, he'd go into whatever kind of match they wanted, and then he lost the match basically because he agreed to Kenny's like gentleman's agreement, and then Kenny is the one who turned on him. I think Moxley had the best year. And also obviously honorable mention to Brodie Lee for all the reasons that you said, and he's obviously fresh on everyone's minds right now. But kind of objectively looking at it, and who do I think had just the best overall year? I really got to go with Jon Moxley for what he did. I think he was just a great champion, and he's someone I could see with that title belt again in the future. He elevated the title. Like, Jericho got it to a really good point, then Moxley brought it even farther, and it was a really, really big deal when Kenny Omega beat him because of how good his run was. And
it made it a big deal, which is what you want in a championship. You want that championship to be, held to that prestige.
Exactly, and in the different ways, like you were saying, like he'd call it before the match, but he'd go out there and he was submitting people, he was choking people out, he was getting people to throw in the towel, he was pinning people. It was a great, in my opinion, it was just a great title run. So I'm gonna say Jon Moxley is my male wrestler of the year. do you have a prediction for 2021? Who do you think is the male wrestler of the year when we do this next year?
Ooh.
That's tough. It could be Roman Reigns, honestly.
Very well could be.
Very well could be Roman Reigns.
Could be Kenny Omega, depending on how this Impact stuff goes.
That's all I can think of.
Yeah. I mean, my choice is Kenny Omega. I think that.
Yeah.
I think he holds that belt. Like I said, I think he's gonna hold it pretty much the entire year up until up until like the last month of the year or something like that. And
Ooh, I mean, he's my favorite, so obviously I'm trying to like not be biased with Kenny.
yeah, well, I'll be a little biased too. Like I'd love to be able to say Kyle O'Reilly at the end of next year, but I just don't see the WWE going all the way with him. Like, not the same way that I see them going all the way with Adam Cole potentially. Like,
They probably won't even do that.
Which they probably won't. It depends on where they, like, if they stay on NXT, but then like how much longer can they keep doing what they've been doing?
Yeah.
And I mean,
Like with Gargano.
yeah. The only difference being, to be fair, like I'm a much bigger fan of Cole and O'Reilly than I am Gargano.
Yeah,
Like I like Gargano. I like what he does in the ring, but like the overall presentation of what I think O'Reilly and Cole both bring is just another level for me.
Yeah.
But I agree with what you're saying. Kind of one of those things where they're all probably better off in NXT than winding up on Raw or SmackDown. And it's sad because like the Road Dogs even said before, like straight up, if Adam Cole was the size of Karrion Kross, he'd probably already be the Universal Champion. It's like, well, that's great to know. Like, so you are pigeonholing these guys. That's great.
Dang.
Um,
I'm the face. He's the face.
So, but I think O'Reilly's gonna have a good year. I would love nothing more next year at this time to be saying Kyle O'Reilly had the best 2021. But I think it's more realistic right now, given the position Kenny Omega's in, being the current champion, being the face of this whole AEW Impact thing. I think we're going to get some great matches, a great title reign, and I think it's going to be a really big deal if and when Hangman Page beats him for that title later in the year. So that's a lot of predictions all in one, but I'm going to say, and I think Roman Reigns is a great choice as well, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Kenny Omega next year.
Awesome. That's what I like. I want more Kenny Omega.
Yep. Well, that's going to do it. We're not going to go over sponsors today.
I figured the same thing.
Yeah, we're going to leave it at, we appreciate everybody who has donated, anybody who has left super chats. The donation link in the description. If you're hearing this, because I upload all this audio to the Fight Talk podcast feed as well. If you're hearing this at any time over the next week, we're recording this show on December the 29th. So anytime between now and next Monday, if you send any money to the donation link in our YouTube description. So even if you're listening audio right now, go on our YouTube channel. January 5th. And yeah. It's not going to be like an immediate cutoff. Well, especially if you say in a message with the donation, like, this is for Jon Huber, like, we will make sure.
Oh my God. If you send this like 3 weeks from now and you say
ever. Yeah. For sure. If you ever want us to send stuff that way, yes, just notate that.
And I will send you a receipt of the donation just to be held accountable.
Yeah.
I will not. I don't mess around with stuff like that.
Yeah, this is no joke to us. This is no scam. This is us. Like, we want to do what we can to help however we can.
Definitely. Absolutely.
But that all being said, that donation link, it's live. It's always live. So jump on there. I think we're at $80, I believe. Let me just double check. See if my math is decent. There's 20 there. Now the European money actually is a little bit more, so we might be a little closer to like 85.
British pound.
Well, that's what I meant, British pounds. So, but let's just say if it was in US dollars, it'd be 20, 25, 30, 50, 70, 80. So yeah, I mean, thank y'all so much. Like, we didn't even like discuss a goal beforehand or anything. I just kind of popped in my head when we were live. Like, $100 would be just an awesome number to be able to send. We made it to 80. We still have all week to get to 100 or surpass 100. Every single penny, if we brought in $10,000, all of it would go to the family of Jon Huber or wherever they want that money, wherever his family wants that money sent. So So please do that. This is not for us. This is for them. And we thank everybody who has given anything today. It's very, very nice of y'all.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a tragedy. We're all hurting. But if we can come together like this and try and lift each other up and do good for those left, I think it's really honorable and it's appreciated.
Definitely. All right, y'all. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Fight Talk _ FIGHTTALK _ Jesse's at Jesse the Buckeye, JSSI THEBUCKEYE. Use code Jesse25. I actually did that the other day. I don't know if you got a kickback. But
it's actually got extended to next year too. So.
Oh, perfect. Well, if you're going to buy any Papa John's, I will plug that because it's a great deal for everybody. You wind up saving 25%.
Use that money that you save and donate it.
Yes, any money you save on that Papa John's order using Jesse25, donate to the family of Jon Huber.
Yeah.
So yeah, check that out. Check out Jesse's OnlyFans. I keep all my stuff updated on Twitter. We're not going to do the whole thing today because this is about Jon Huber. This is about talking a little bit of the best ofs, and we'll leave the rest of it out of that. So that's all I've got to say. Is there anything else on your end, Jesse?
No, just my condolences and love go to his kids and his family and his wife.
And that's what matters. All right, y'all. I hope everyone had a happy holidays. Hope everyone has a happy new year. And we'll be back at the beginning of next year, probably on Tuesday or something. We'll figure that out. Follow us on Twitter. Make sure to subscribe and give the thumbs up. That way you know when we're going live. We will see y'all next